Hello, I'm Odin, and today I want to make something else from Book of Boba Fett, and I wasn't really sure what to make, so I decided to ask my friend Shawn Cash, hey, do you have any ideas of what we could make? And he decided that today we should make the Pyke Syndicate guard helmet from Book of Boba Fett. It's a bummer these aren't the right size.
I know.
They're actually kind of cool as they are. They're really close. Yeah. This is the center from the Yuffie staff.
I mean, I like that. I think we could even use that.
I'm
just
okay
if
with
we can find something to kind of make this edge look like it's damaged on purpose.
This is one of those videos we've already started working on it. Shawn had come by a couple of days earlier and we worked out a pattern for the faceplate. And he had asked Ado of Fabworks to make the first version of the 3D printed breather and tusks that we have. Now, they were a little too small printed at the size provided, and after we got some more higher resolution images of the guards from the show, I changed some details that are on the mouthpiece, slightly modified the tusks, and then created the side breathers and ear mechanisms. Then I printed them without enough resin in the vat, so we needed to fix the top ring on the ears. But what we got was much better than just the print. I was very happy that Shawn wanted to work with the printed items and add more plastic and parts to them to make them look even better. Then he glued them together and got them all painted and weathered. I was working on the faceplate, cutting it from foam, because we'd worked out the pattern to use in the previous day.
That was a great solution. Instead of doing multiple layers, just sinking it in.
I made the first version from 10mm HD foam, but now I feel that 10mm is a little too thick, and I want to build new ones from 6mm foam. I'll just add an extra strip behind the eye slit so it'll look like it's that thick, replicating the look without having all of the bulk. For the lower half of the face, I decided to start with my Squid Game mask. I just needed a good base so I could attach the 3D printed parts and cover the lower half of the face of whoever's wearing this thing. While I make this new piece, Shawn starts painting the faceplates. Now, this early in the build, I still thought that we were going to be able to make 2 of these masks, so most of the parts were doubled for the build. Shawn is checking his color choice.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I'm gonna mix some white in with it.
Yeah.
It's way too gold.
Still having the 10mm version of the faceplate was helpful for figuring out how I wanted to assemble the final project, and it gave Shawn time to get the paint right.
I don't like this one either.
Oh.
He keeps layering on paint, adding hints of gold, adding bits of white.
Closer.
Good. Is it getting there? Oh, it is.
Closer.
Yeah.
And I'm probably just overthinking how a non-human mask fits.
Just trying to get the fit of it going under my chin. Mm-hmm. Of course, the Pikes, it could be out here, right?
Sure.
They got the makeup on, then they have the mask on, so I don't need to bring it up against my face.
Ultimately, the Squid Game portion is just going to be a base. It's going to be a place for all the 3D printed parts to be attached to. And I expect that we're not really going to see it in the final build. As Shawn waits for the paint to dry, I start figuring out the panel that's right behind the mouth plate. It has a fin-like look to it, which makes sense. Pikes are fish, right? I get a working idea, and I cut a plate from 4mm foam. I have a second piece that'll go behind it with the fin detail. And the mouthpiece and the tusks will glue to this piece, and it's going to fit behind the faceplate. Shawn's obsessing over the grime marks on the faceplate, matching the smears and the shadows from the show. And he's using the water-based oil technique that we just talked about a couple of videos ago with the power converters. And I have an idea on how to attach the big round breathing pieces.
And grab your stuff again?
No, I don't think so. I never want to say that you have my stuff. I invited you over to play with my toys.
The side respirators I have can connect to the Squid Game half mask. I decided to cut a hole for the 3D printed piece to fit into, and that way I could adjust the elevation of the part if I needed to. Just having it sit flush to the back of the face is fine. In addition to making this gas mask looking piece, I think about how someone who's wearing this mask might want to be able to breathe. So I used the CosTools hole drill to add some breathing holes. These will be behind the other fin-like panel, and there's enough space between the two of them to allow airflow. Shawn keeps working on painting and weathering the 3D printed pieces, and I dry assemble the mask parts with some double stick tape. I just need to see how everything's going to fit together. Which is also letting me start on the longest part of this whole build. It's the hexagon-like hood piece that goes around the face, and it's kind of the basic look of the Pyke people. And after about an hour, that went by really quickly, I have most of the first of 3 layers for the hood. And Shawn has finished working on everything that he's got.
Well, this looks like it's... This almost looks like it's flexible.
True.
So...
That
that would
one?
work.
That was
I
the
haven't,
one.
I haven't cut this out yet because you're changing it.
Okay. Of course I am.
Not too long after that, Shawn had left for the day, and I spent way too much time making a clean pattern for the hood piece that I had already made. I thought that I could just enlarge the parts, stretch them longer, not increase all the sides, but that didn't really work. The parts were just not lining up the way that I wanted them to. So I scrapped most of that pattern, cut a whole new set, and slowly worked my way around the hood hairpiece, getting the angles to look right. And of course, I needed to start over a few times. My thought that the parts were all parallel lines was wrong. I needed to stretch some of them just to keep the lines looking straight. In the end, I made and remade a few of the hood pieces and spent way more time on just this part than I ever thought that I would. Now, I'm not complaining. It just really surprised at the time that went by, and I was trying to get it done before Shawn came back to finish the video, so I was putting pressure on myself.
I think I've spent more time doing the top of the head than I did the rest of the project, but it's a bunch of funky little parts that's more or less fit together. It's still not perfect, but I'm calling it done. So let's get the other side glued together. Good morning. It's day 3, but we're wearing the same clothes, so you don't know that.
All right, so do you want me to paint those things on it, or do you want to pull things off and then give me...
I'm thinking about just pulling it off and
Okay.
handing that to you.
All right.
And I'm going to come back with a brush, I think, and hit the back edges.
Yeah. Yep.
None of this is glued on yet. And then I also might glue the visor in and try and close the eye slit up a little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
As Shawn gets the final colors ready for the hood, I can work on the visor. I've kept the large extra pieces that are left over from all the T-visors that I've made in the past, so I can just use one of those big scraps instead of cutting into a new one. And it's always nerve-wracking to super glue in the plastic for the visors, because I don't want to get glue on the parts that you're trying to look through, or cause the plastic to turn white from the heat of the glue setting. Now, I can avoid the heat problem by not using an accelerator on the glue, but that also means I get to hold the parts together longer. With the visor on, I add a little gray around the lower fin so you can kind of see the shapes, because I don't want everything to disappear into blackness. Shawn keeps working and obsessing over the subtle colors that are on the hood, which I fully appreciate. He gets to spend more time painting and weathering the parts, which just makes them look better.
All right, I'm going to steal your side
Please do.
just to kind of try and match it a little how I did the other.
I had used the puzzle edges from floor mat foam just as a spacer for figuring out the mask, but now it feels like I'm going to need to add those to the inside of the final piece. So I cut off the puzzle edges, and with contact cement and Shawn's help, I get the mask glued to the forehead spacer and to the chin spacer. As I rummage around the shop looking for some sort of strap to keep this thing on my head, Shawn cut some 4mm foam to glue the side respirators in place, because super glue sticks really well to unpainted resin and to EVA foam. Next is the buckle placement for the head strap, which may not be needed at all, but it feels like we should have a buckle. And I'd try really hard to get it in a spot where it's not going to be rubbing on my head or get bumped if I ever leaned against something. And I do the same thing with the strap that I add over the top. That little adjustment buckle has just enough room to not sit on the back of the head. All the straps were made from some cheap carrying strap that I picked up at a thrift store, and it's all glued to the mask with super glue or with contact cement, and the buckle is hand sewn in place.
All right, super glue to my forehead now. That's on.
It's on.
I've got no. This is my horizon. I can't see anything lower than this.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so
It works.
it works. Once it's adjusted, you probably don't have to unclick it, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll just.
it's a welding mask.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
no, you're right. You
Yeah.
got here and nothing below.
Nothing below. Good luck with stairs. I don't know what you're guarding, but every Jawa is gonna get by.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's coming out good.
The hood is glued in place along the top of the faceplate and then has bits of floor mat foam to guide the cheeks in place. The tusks finally get glued on, and I'm glad that we added a flat spot on the back for them. It gives a little better area for glue, and they won't stick out as far from the face. The earpieces are also super glued on. I cut a disc of 10mm foam to fill in the inside of the ears, which got me an easy way to attach them to the hood piece. And the best part? Shawn just can't stop adding weathering and painting details.
Sorry, this part I could probably
No,
do for
it's
hours.
fine.
You're like, move it on.
Not at all.
I do really like this powdered paint pigment he's got for dust and dirt, and I really like the look of the final painted piece. I don't have a full pattern for this mask, but I will put a link in the description for the 3D print files that we used if you want to try making your own Pyke Syndicate mask. Most of the materials used in this project I picked up locally. I put a list in the description.
Not an alien that I ever thought about making. I mean, the Pykes are kind of neat, but I never planned on actually trying to make any of the Pyke outfits. But I'm really happy that Shawn suggested this. Thank you very much. Did you want to? You're all going to stop. He's still here.
It's awesome. It came out great.
you.
You did an amazing job with the foam on this.
Thank you. You did an amazing job with the weathering and the painting.
Thank you. Thank you.
You nailed the faceplate. That's the coloration and the
And we had a couple to choose from.
We did have a couple to choose from, yes. So we've actually got spares. So the plan was, way back in the day, we were going to make two of them, right? So we could both have one. Yeah.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
This took a long time.
This did take a long time, and even though doubles of everything was printed, every single one of them had a failure.
Yeah. But we were able to make that into damage. It came out great, though. I'm really, really happy with this.
And yeah, it fits, right? I mean, that's got a lot more weight to it.
Oh, that's fine.
It's not even the piece on the chin for. It's not even touching.
Not even touching?
No. So I just got it tightened up. So it's well, the headache is no, that's not that bad.
That looks great.
Oh, cool.
I love it. Well done.
You want to play with it?
Oh, of course.
I get to share.
What do you think?
It looks great.
Nice.
It does.
And now I'm ready to go into the grocery store.
What it really reminds me a lot also is some of the old production designs for Dune for some reason, which makes sense. But it really reminds me of some of Fremen. No, I know what it reminds me as well. Star Trek II, the Ceti Alpha 5 outfits. Khan's people. There's got a lot more going on down here, but up here, it's really reminding me of that.
Yeah. I know you were trying to get this done. I could probably spend another 20 minutes weathering it. At least. But I'll stop.
The best part about weathering is you don't have to stop. You can, and if there's a point in time when it's too dirty, then you just kind of clean it, which becomes more weathering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Looks great.
Oh, this is great. Let's see, there's one other thing that I think I'd like to do. That's a Pyke.
A lot of the pikes have a lot of different variation to the mouthpiece, to the helmets.
Right.
We saw probably 6-7 different versions of them. So this is specifically the pike guard.
So I usually sign in the middle. You sign in the bottom since you were part of this. Sure. Thank you. This here. You can't have a certificate of authenticity without a seal, right?
Wow. You are so fancy.
I'll try it.
Oh, look at that. Nicely done.
Thank you. So I wanted to do all this because I wanted to say very much thank you for getting me to get going on this, and thank you for coming or participating.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Oh, wow. Are you sure?
Yes, I'm totally happy with that.
Awesome.
You go right.
Awesome.
You've spent some time here, and I do very much appreciate.
That is outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. I know there's going to be lots of different ways you can make a goofy background guard helmet from any random Star Wars movie, but this is how we make.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You really don't have to do that.
That's fine. The plan was to try and make 2 of them, and it just didn't quite work out. So it's like,
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
That's super cool. I think that came out so good.
Yes, actually, very much so.
Yeah, I think that came out really good. This is just that is the angles and the look of it. I mean, I even think that. I mean, we kind of just did this a little quickly, but your idea of kind of doing the dabbing of the colors and stuff. I mean, I think it.
Oh, right.
I think it looks just like it.
Right, as much as we can. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. As much as we can see, because
Yeah, I mean,
it just
it's
needed
a background character.
It's a background character. It needed a little bit of a texture without going super crazy.
That's awesome. I'll have to take a picture of that.
All right. No, please do.
I want to thank Ace, Dave Tittle, Michael Tomcho, and all of my Patreon supporters. Patreon members of the $5 and above level get access to my private Discord, which includes weekly games with me, prop-related chat, and early access to live streams. My Patreon support is the #1 thing that makes this show possible. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Have an idea for something for me to make? Please leave a comment below. And if you make any of these projects, you can send me a picture.